She said, "You owe me half of your savings since we lived together." I replied, "You're right, let's settle it legally." Then I submitted bank records showing every expense was paid from my account alone. When her lawyer whispered something and she suddenly asked for a private break. "My name is Daniel. I'm 31, and I work as a software engineer in Seattle. 3 months ago, my girlfriend of 4 years, Emma, 29, moved out of our apartment after what I thought was a mutual, albeit painful, breakup. I was wrong about the mutual part. We'd been living together for 3.5 years. I owned the condo outright before she moved in, bought it with money from my late grandfather's inheritance. Emma had been between jobs when we decided she'd move in, so we agreed she'd contribute what she could until she got back on her feet. That until stretched into years. I never pushed it. I loved her, and honestly, I made good money. I covered rent, or rather, the HOA fees and property tax, utilities, groceries, her car insurance after hers lapsed, even her phone bill for the last 2 years. She worked part-time as a yoga instructor and sold handmade jewelry on Etsy. Her income was maybe $800 a month on a good month. Mine was $9,500 after taxes. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying it because it matters for what came next. The breakup happened on a Tuesday night in July. She told me she wasn't feeling it anymore, that we'd grown apart, that she needed to find herself. Classic stuff. I was hurt, but I didn't fight it. I helped her pack. I even hired movers. She left on good terms, or so I thought, taking her clothes, her yoga mats, and a few pieces of furniture I'd told her she could have, stuff from her old place she'd brought in. A month passed. Radio silence. Then, on August 19th, I got a text. "Hey, I've been thinking. We need to talk about money." I called her immediately. "What do you mean?" "I lived with you for almost 4 years, Daniel. I contributed to that household. I think I'm entitled to half of what you saved during that time." I actually laughed. I thought she was joking. "Emma, you didn't pay rent. I have records. I paid for everything. I contributed in other ways. Emotional labor, cooking, cleaning, that has value. Are you seriously trying to claim my savings?" "I'm not trying. I'm telling you, you owe me. We were common law married. Washington is not a common law marriage state. I knew that. She clearly didn't. Emma, we weren't married. You didn't contribute financially. I'm not giving you anything." She hung up. 2 days later, I got a letter from a lawyer. She was actually suing me, claiming unjust enrichment, demanding $47,000, half of what I'd saved during the time we lived together. I was furious, but I'm not impulsive. I called my own attorney, a guy named Greg who'd helped me with the condo purchase. He read the letter, asked me a few questions, then said, "Do you have records?" "Every single one." "Good. Let's bury her." Update 1 discovery started in late September. Greg requested all financial documents from both sides. I handed over 4 years of bank statements, credit card records, Venmo transactions, grocery receipts I'd kept for tax purposes, insurance payments, everything. It was obsessive, but I'm an engineer. I track things. Emma's side submitted almost nothing. A few pay stubs from her yoga studio, an Etsy transaction summary showing maybe $3,200 total income over 4 years. That's it. Greg filed a motion to compel more documents. Her lawyer, a woman named Andrea, pushed back, claiming Emma didn't keep detailed records. Greg responded with a 47-page document that was basically a forensic breakdown of our shared life. Every dinner I paid for, every vacation I funded, every time I covered her half of a restaurant bill because she forgot her wallet. It included this gem, a Venmo transaction from June 2023, where I'd sent her $200 with the note, "For your part of groceries this month." She'd sent back a gif of a cat blowing a kiss. She never paid me back. We had a settlement conference scheduled for October 4th. I showed up with Greg. Emma showed up with Andrea and an attitude. The mediator, an older guy named Philip, started with the basics. Ms. Carter, you're claiming unjust enrichment based on cohabitation. Can you outline your financial contributions to the household? Emma glanced at Andrea, then said, I cooked meals. I cleaned the apartment. I provided emotional support. I made his life livable. Philip nodded slowly. And financially? I contributed when I could. How much, roughly? She hesitated. I don't know. A few hundred a month, maybe? Greg slid a document across the table. Your Honor, this is a summary of Ms. Carter's bank records, which she provided during discovery. Over the course of 42 months of cohabitation, she made exactly 3 payments to Mr. Hayes. $50 in April 2022 for takeout, $100 in November 2022 for a shared anniversary dinner, and $75 in March 2023 for a birthday gift. Total, $225. Emma's face went red. Those aren't the only… Ms. Carter, Philip interrupted. Did you pay rent? No, but utilities? No, but groceries? Insurance? Any recurring household expense? Silence. Andrea leaned over and whispered something in Emma's ear. Emma's expression shifted from defiant to panicked. She stood abruptly. I need a break. We just started, Philip said. I need to speak with my client privately, Andrea said, her tone clipped. They left the room. Greg looked at me and mouthed, We won. They came back 15 minutes later. Andrea looked tired. Emma looked like she'd been crying. Ms. Carter would like to withdraw her claim, Andrea said. Philip raised an eyebrow. Entirely? Yes. No settlement. She'll cover her own legal fees. I didn't say anything. Greg did. We'll also need a signed agreement that Ms. Carter will not pursue any further claims related to this relationship or cohabitation in any form, in any court. Andrea nodded. Agreed. Emma wouldn't look at me. We signed the papers right there. It was over. Update 2. That was 3 weeks ago. I thought it was done. Then, last Wednesday, I got a message on Instagram from a woman I didn't know. Her name was Rachel. Hey, you dated Emma Carter, right? I almost ignored it, but something made me respond. Yeah, why? She did the same thing to my brother. Lived with him for 2 years, didn't pay for anything, then tried to sue him when they broke up. He settled for $5,000 just to make it go away. I saw your case pop up in a mutual friend's story. Thought you should know she's done this before. I felt cold. I called Greg immediately. He said, If she has a pattern, and if your settlement included fraud, we could reopen this. I don't want to reopen it. I want her gone. Then, let it go. You won. She's not coming back. He was right, but I couldn't let it go entirely. I sent Rachel a thank you message and asked if her brother would be willing to talk. He was. His name was Matt, 34, lives in Portland. Emma dated him from 2018 to 2020. Same story. Moved in, paid nothing, then claimed she was owed money when they split. He settled because his lawyer said it was cheaper than fighting. She told me we were basically married, Matt said on the phone. She said she deserved half of everything I saved while we were together. I was so tired of fighting, I just gave her the money. Did she ever work? She sold jewelry online, made maybe $500 a month. I paid for everything else. It was textbook. She'd done this before, and she'd probably do it again. I started digging. I'm not proud of it, but I needed to know if there were others. I found Emma's old Facebook profile, the one she'd deactivated, but I still had access to through mutual friends' tagged photos. I went back through her relationship history. Before Matt, there was a guy named Trevor. Before Trevor, someone named Jason. I reached out to Trevor through LinkedIn. Took him 2 days to respond, but when he did, he called me immediately. Dude, are you serious? She tried to sue you too? Yeah, you. Not sue, but she tried. We lived together for about a year and a half. When we broke up, she said I owed her for unpaid domestic labor. Wanted $8,000. I told her to go to hell. She didn't have a lawyer, so she backed off. 3 guys, 3 identical patterns. I was starting to feel sick. Update 3. This is where things got weird and kind of scary. Last Monday, I got a call from Andrea, Emma's lawyer. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Mr. Hayes, this is Andrea Westfield. I represented Miss Carter. Do you have a moment? Why are you calling me? She hesitated. I'm calling off the record. What I'm about to tell you is not privileged information because Ms. Carter is no longer my client. She fired me 2 days after the settlement. Okay, I'm calling because I think you should know something. When Ms. Carter first came to me, she told me you had promised to marry her, that you'd made verbal agreements about shared finances, and that you'd manipulated her into not working. She showed me text messages that appeared to support this. That's all bullshit. I know that now. When I saw your financial records and cross-referenced them with her testimony during our prep sessions, the story fell apart. But here's what concerns me. After she fired me, she left a voicemail. She was angry. She said, and I quote, "I'll find another way to make him pay." My stomach dropped. What does that mean? I don't know, but I felt obligated to tell you. I've reported it to the Bar Association as a potential threat, but there's not much they can do without specifics. I'd recommend you document everything. If she contacts you, don't engage. If she shows up at your home or workplace, call the police. I thanked her and hung up. Then I called Greg. He said the same thing. Document everything, don't respond to her, and if she escalates, file for a restraining order. I didn't have to wait long. That Friday, I came home from work to find my building's lobby security guard waiting for me. "Mr. Hayes, someone was here looking for you today. A woman. She didn't give a name, but she tried to get up to your floor. We stopped her." "What did she look like?" He described Emma perfectly. "She left this." He handed me an envelope. Inside was a handwritten note. "You humiliated me. You made me look like a liar. You'll regret this." I took photos of the note, forwarded them to Greg, and filed a police report that night. The officer who took my statement was sympathetic, but realistic. Unless she makes a direct threat or shows up again, there's not much we can do. But you've got a paper trail now. Keep documenting. I installed a Ring doorbell camera. I told my building management about the situation. I even told my boss, just in case Emma tried to show up at my office. She didn't show up again. But 2 weeks ago, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line was, "You destroyed my life." The email was long. Rambling. She blamed me for everything, her financial problems, her failed career, her depression. She said I'd used her, that I'd kept her dependent on purpose so she couldn't leave. She said she'd tried to do things the right way by suing me, but I'd humiliated her in front of everyone. The email ended with, "People like you don't get to win forever." I forwarded it to Greg immediately. He forwarded it to the police and helped me file for a restraining order. The hearing is scheduled for next week. In the meantime, I've stayed off social media. I've asked friends not to post anything about me or tag me in photos. I've changed my routines, different gym, different coffee shop, different routes to work. Matt, the guy from Portland, called me after I told him what was happening. "She did something similar to me," he said. "After I settled, she started spreading rumors that I'd abused her. Told people I'd hit her, controlled her money, isolated her from friends. None of it was true, but it got back to my employer. I had to sit through an HR investigation. They cleared me, but it was hell. I asked him if he'd testify if it came to that. He said yes. Final update. The restraining order was granted yesterday. Emma didn't show up to contest it. According to Greg, her current address is listed as her parents' house in Sacramento, so she's definitely left Seattle. I haven't heard from her since that email. The police said if she violates the order, she'll be arrested. I hope it doesn't come to that, but I'm prepared. Rachel, Matt's sister, reached out to tell me that Matt did file to recover his $5,000. He's citing fraud and the pattern of behavior. His lawyer thinks he's got a decent shot. As for me, I'm okay. I'm exhausted, but I'm okay. I've started seeing a therapist to process everything, not just the lawsuit, but the realization that someone I loved was essentially running a con. I've also started dating someone new. Her name is Claire. She's a financial analyst, she owns her own condo, and on our second date, she insisted on splitting the bill. It was the most attractive thing anyone's ever done. I don't know what Emma's doing now. I don't want to know. I just hope she gets help and stops doing this to people. Edit 1. A few people have asked if I've heard from Emma since the settlement. The restraining order was the last interaction. She hasn't tried to contact me since. Edit 2. No, I didn't ask for her to repay any of the money I spent during our relationship. I just wanted her to stop claiming she was owed more. Greg said pursuing repayment would have dragged things out for years and likely wouldn't have been successful anyway. Edit 3. For those asking about the common law marriage claim, Washington State does not recognize common law marriage. Her lawyer should have known that immediately. I think that's part of why Andrea withdrew so quickly. The case had no legal standing from the start.